Hi guys, West Coast Arachnids. Um, I was just checking on my teas and noticed that my calceatum was looking a little thin. So I took a closer look, and I don't know if you can see it there. It wasn't very apparent to me when I first looked in there. I should have saw it right away, but just shows you how well these things blend in with their surroundings and why it's pulled all this substrate up into its hide. It's completely closed itself in pretty much, uses the top area there to sit in. It's nice and dry in there, it's perfect for it. The escals, you have to keep them dry. The moisture will, as I found out, cause fungus and kill your tea. This is my first time at keeping escals, so you live and learn, I guess. Anyway, right here, you can see right there, just in there, that's the fangs of the molt. The legs go right down. I don't know if you've seen that prior to me showing you. It's kind of hard to tell with the glare. But yeah, that's its molt there. It's looking to me to be about close to 4 inches now. I think it's molted maybe 4 times in my care. It was about 1.5 inches when I got it. So it's growing pretty quickly. And I'm just taking the lid off if you notice the thing shaking a bit. I'm not sure how I'm going to get this molt out, but I want to get it out because I'm hoping it's not destroyed. I want to try and sex this tea. Not that I have any others to breed it with, but if it's a female, it'll be a lot easier for me to get a hold of a male. And if it's a male, I can always lend it out as a breeding, 50-50. That's what I'll probably do. Look for someone that can do a 50-50 with me. Oop. So there it is there. This one here, I think it was, I think I measured it in at about pretty close to 3 inches. So I should be able, as long as the molt is intact, I should be able to get a sexing out of it. And there's a lot of videos out there already, but I'll probably do another one just on sexing. How to sex your tarantula 100% rather than guessing. The epigastric furrow is an indicator, but it's not always 100%. You can't really rely on it as a means of sexing your tea. Is that cricket alive still? Yes. Okay. Leaving you in there. I don't really worry too much about leaving the tea or crickets in with this guy. Anything stupid enough to wander in its way is gonna end up dead. Pretty much. This one is doesn't like anything in its hide at all. The other one that I had didn't seem to have a problem with things crawling around it. If it wasn't hungry, it just wouldn't eat it. And that's not the reason it died. It died due to moisture, I believe, is the problem. Yes, cocoa fiber usually doesn't mold up, but occasionally you will get in the bricks and even in the bags you'll get some other type of substance in there. It's not a guaranteed 100% cocoa fiber. So you may get a tiny piece of wood in there, or bark, or a bug that flew in when they were grinding this stuff up, who knows. And then it, it gets in there, and you can see around, I don't know if you can see that very well, but around the water dish, it's kind of moist underneath. And I've actually got it up on a rock. It's just a tiny lid. It's not very deep, so there's never very much water in there at a time. But I always do keep water in there. Just in case. You can see it's defecated on the walls inside here. All these little spots I'm going to have to go in and clean out. These tiny little spots up here. See if I can get a better look from up top. See them there. Those little spots are defecation. So I'll go in there and wipe that out. So she has been out climbing around. Never see them out during the day. If you want to see them, leave the room pitch black. Come back in a little while really quietly and put a nice dim light on it, and you may see them. But they may run away the second that light hits them. So I'm going to pause this or shut it off, and I'll have to splice the videos together, and I'm going to see if I can get a sex out of this. It seems a bit crunchy, so it's probably been a couple of days since this molted. That's really awesome. I don't know if you can see the colors on there. The greens on the toes, the pads of the toes. Those are underneath. That's how they grip when they walk up. All arboreals have that. And geckos and whatnot. That's all just simply hair. And that's how geckos climb, that's how all lizards climb, or any spiders. It's just millions and millions of hairs all compacted in a tiny little area. They're so fine. And it causes a suction in between the hairs when it pushes down, and I don't know how they can suction on and release and run so quickly. But, nature's a miraculous thing. Anyway, I'm going to have this, I'm going to try and get this thing sexed, and we'll turn the video on after, and yeah, we'll see what it is, hopefully. Alright, back in a bit. What I have here is just a bowl of warm water, and Tarantula's molt. I'm not sure how well it is, but you just drop it in there. You kind of want to submerge it. And you can see right away it's starting to open. Doesn't take long. And I'm not sure how good of a molt this is going to be. To get a sexing off of. I mean, you can see the size of it. It's quite small. It's only, I think it was 2 3/4 inches. What you're really trying to get wet is the abdomen, which is this little piece right here. And that carapace usually is stuck to it. It kind of tears down the center of the top of the abdomen. The carapace comes off, it separates the carapace from the bottom, and then the legs start crawling out, and the carapace just kind of pops back like a canopy on a truck, or the hood of a truck, say, or a car. Anyway, get the gist of it. Pops up, and then the abdomen actually splits a little bit down the center of the back, and then the abdomen comes out that way, and usually you get a round piece of the bottom of the abdomen and a strip on the top, which the carapace is stuck to, and that's what you see there is just the abdomen split open, and then little string of the carapace with the, or a little string of the abdomen, sorry, the top of the abdomen with the carapace stuck to it. And then they just kind of pull themselves out from where the carapace used to be, just kind of like that. Pull their legs out. And their legs are generally jelly. There's no, they're not rigid at all when they come out. They're very fragile. Anything that happens to them during that molt, if they harden up in a deformed way, they'll stay that way until the next molt, and hopefully they make it through the next molt if the deformity is not too bad. I don't want to really harm the carapace, not carapace, the abdomen, sorry, I'm saying carapace. You can see the spinnerets there. This thing's sticking out this way, that's the spinnerets off the back of the abdomen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that sit there for, I don't know, a few minutes. I want to let it get nice and moist before I try to open it up. I don't know what he's doing there. You can see him there. He's got something in his jaws. Cricket maybe that I put in there the other day. All the male crickets I had were driving me nuts, so I went and threw them all in there. I do not have any crickets left, not alive anyway. Well, I do, they're in the, and with the spinifers, Heterometrus spinifers, the Asian forest scorpions, which are doing well. Haven't seen them since yesterday, but when I checked on them, they were doing awesome. One of them seems to be ostracized. The other two seem to be shacking up in a little hide, and I'm hoping that's a male and a female. So who knows? Maybe I'll get some baby Heterometrus. Another note: I've been getting a lot of molts lately, and some of them have been the Ishmaelcoloni Dominican Republic. So I've been checking on them quite frequently. And look at that. Another one is molted. That thing on the bottom is a molt, and then you can see the spider just above it, to the right of that white. So, see if I can get in there with something small. Grab the molt out. No way I'm gonna be able to sex this molt. There's actually not much left to it. One leg, and there's another leg left in there. Take that out. I try to remove the molts as soon as possible, just to avoid mites and mold. Mites being the biggest immediate threat, and mold being the secondary, more important threat. Never underestimate mold or fungus in your enclosures, people. It will kill your tea from the inside out, and I mean that literally. Before you even notice the fungus on your tea, it's already got to its insides. By that time, it is pretty much almost guaranteed it's going to die, or you're going to have some serious complications with its next molt if it lives. And that's with proper medical treatment. So you're going to have to use a medication, betadine, I believe it's called. Betadine or Bened, yeah. Anyway, I can't remember exactly what it's called. There's a few of them, and then if that doesn't work, you're going to have to do an alcohol bath. So basically what you're going to do is do like this. It's going to be tepid water with a 10% alcohol base to it. So you're going to mix 9 parts water, 1 part 1 part alcohol. And then you're going to dip your tea into it. That's a last case scenario, as that could actually kill your tea, but in lieu of it, it may be the only thing that can save it from a fungus. A lot of people have been popping up with fungus, and the reason that is, in the last couple of months, spring's here. So in the northern hemisphere, if you're finding yourself getting mold and fungus and all kinds of things, it's because that's what's naturally in the air. You see that yellow death that falls on everybody's car all the time, and you know, you get like 3 weeks of this stuff and you're wiping it off your vehicles and outside, and those are spores from trees. And the same goes with fungus, except for the spores with fungus are very tiny. They're just so minute you cannot see them, and it simply just takes you opening up your enclosure and closing it, and one little spore gets in there and the mycelium will grow. And the best way to get rid of it, if you quickly notice it, is to take out anything that looks like it's got just white spots on your substrate. If it's on your tea, brush it off with a paintbrush, put it in a new enclosure, get rid of the old substrate, period, and put in new dry substrate, completely bone dry, whether or not it needs humidity or not, and put in a water dish, and try not to spill that water dish, and isolate it. This is probably the most important thing. If you've got a collection like this and you get a fungus, you take that tea, even once it's into its new enclosure, and you isolate it away from anything else. Okay, so enough of that. Let's see. Still seems a bit crunchy. Trying to open that up inside the water. Might be a little easier. Once it's opened up in there, I can take it out. Right now it's quite fragile. Now it needs to soak a bit, so what I'm going to do is pause this, let it sit for another 5 minutes or so, and then I'll come back. Alright, see you in a bit. Okay, just going to give it another check. Should be soaked up pretty good by now. I can get the abdomen to open up. Looks like it's opening up pretty good. And a little tough to tell. To get in there with the magnifying glass just to see it. Okay, what you're looking at there is this is the abdomen opened up, and those white things there, there's 4 book lungs, and in between these two here at the top, nearer to the carapace, is right in between the tips, the bottom end of the tips, this end should be where the furrow is. Can't really see it, so I'm assuming this is a male. Actually, it's really hard to tell in there. So gonna try and pull it apart out here. Be so careful with this. I mean, it's thinner than paper and not very strong. So you can tear it quite easily. It's really hard to tell. It might be just a little bit too small yet. There it is. Camera really can't see it. I mean, you can see the book lungs. I'm going to snap some close-up pictures of it. And I'll put that at the end. What I'm going to do is need to turn this thing around. Very tough to handle like this. Problem is, every time I pick it up I have to reopen it. And this is a good way to pose your tarantula molt as well. Once it's wet, it's pliable, and you can pin it to a board in any position you want. If the abdomen is still intact, you can actually fill it full of just a cotton or something. Just gonna pause you a sec. Okay, well, I've opened it up. I actually had that Ischnocoloni Dominican Republic still open here on that thing too. It's been sitting open for about 15-20 minutes now. In between, I've been running around doing other things, but I can't tell with this molt. It's still a bit too small. It's 3 1/4 inches stretch out, and that's from this leg to the tip of this leg. It's 8 centimeters, pretty much exactly, which is about 3 1/4 inches. Or a little less. Yeah, I can't really tell. It almost looks like there's a epigastric furrow in there, but I can't be sure. So I'm gonna have to say suspect male. Until I can get a definite on that. Which won't be until the next molt, I'm sure. This is still a juvenile. I think with that last molt, it may be coming into maturity. Oops. Well, didn't turn out like expected. I was trying to pick it up so I could get it to open on my finger rather than on that table. The table's a horrible medium to check this. So I believe we're going to have to wait. But for now, I don't see a furrow, so I'm going to have to say suspect male. Unless it's just too young. It's really tough to tell. It almost looks like there's something there, but now I can't get it open anymore. It doesn't want to open for me now. Messed with it too many times. That's the problem. I think you only get 1 or 2 shots at opening these things up. They just become a mess after that. Can't open it. But what I can do is put it into a little bit of a pose. I put the carapace back on it, and there's the abdomen there. And that's all you get left of it. So, spread it out. And that's what I'll do, is I'll just spread it out and let it dry. And I'm just gonna put the carapace back on. If it'll let me. It's pretty awesome how they pull themselves completely out of their skin like that, and you get an exact replica of them. Great for taxonomy. So there it is. A little over 3 inches. So I'm assuming the escal is now about 4 inches. So was gonna make this a separate how-to video, but I think I'm just gonna tack it onto the back of the other one and put them together. But okay, well, that's that. Wait till the next one, and I'll get a definite from that, probably, assuming that it's intact and large enough for me to actually see if there's a furrow there. This one I couldn't tell. I think I'm going to use a different something different to place it on. It makes it a little easier to see. Until then, I guess we'll just have to wait. Alright, that's it. Stay tuned for some feeding videos and possibly some rehousing of all these little guys, and an update on the Asian forest scorpions. Alright, you all take care, have a great day, and bye for now.